Gandhidham College Airport. And this Gandhidham College Airport was formed by late Ramdas Tolani, affectionately called Tata, way back in 1967. But if I go a little beyond, take you down the timeline, this town was totally a barren land during when the partition took place. Pratap came, SRC was formed, and this town started getting developed. Everything was done by SRC because there was no other agency over here to take care of the town. This was a barren land, not even a tree. There were all shrubs over here. And then education was also a part of a system which had to be introduced, so SRC introduced that. The town was under construction, there was a need for people to supervise construction, and that is where a small institute offering 9 months course and then later on 1 year and then later on 2 years certificate course in civil engineering is started. The building in which they started is also a part of our campus, that's why I thought that I must mention that. And that civil engineering certificate course got converted into polytechnic, but then it was difficult to manage that at that time. It was being managed by Gandhidham Nursing Hospital, in a part of SRC. But somebody was needed to support the institutes, and that was where in 1967, Tata came here at the invitation of Mr. Hari Daryani and Dr. Pal over here. I may add here that Tata Tolani, when he came here, a great visionary, had a very big handicap of eyesight. And despite that, he came here. He was one of the largest, one of the biggest landowners in Pakistan during partition. But that time government of Pakistan wanted this entire land, biggest landlord, was put behind bars in order to take that, and ultimately he had to come to India, leaving that entire land empty-handed. Worked hard, came up, and it was his determination to do something for the community. He got an opportunity and came here. I may add here that one of the colleges, Arts College, when started, he was also part of it. Started in 62. But you can imagine the size of colleges. Arts College had 6 students and about 8 or 10 faculty members. And that's where from it started growing. People are, smiling, but this is a fact. This is a historical fact. 6 students and 10 faculty members. You all are, many of you are faculty members, you know that you need some minimum required faculties are required with respect to number of students. And that's how it started. And then Tata came here in 67, took over Arts College and Polytechnic, and the growth started. Polytechnic, electrical, mechanical wings were added. In Arts College, Science College was added. And then afterwards, Tolani Commerce College came into existence and kept on growing. He was a man who invested his money in construction of this entire campus. SRC gave more than 40 acres of land at some percent, and then quarters for staff, quarters for principals, peons, staff of student hostels for girls, student hostel for boys, auditoriums, buildings, everything started happening, and it has become, I say very proudly, that this campus is one of the, probably the largest, not the probably, but definitely the largest educational campus in terms of size, in terms of faculties, in terms of students, and in terms of quality education. This is the campus of Kutch. In Kutch, this is the only institute campus where we have got 7 colleges with 9,000 students spread over an area of almost 40 acres. After Tata, his daughter Jamanti Kanal took over the reins, and she was the person who started the Tolani Institute of Management in those days, and now Tolani Institute of Management. Further down the line, Mrs. Hazari, Tata's youngest daughter came. She was here for almost immediately after earthquake and nurtured this campus for more than 20 years, right till our last day. And the campus has grown. We added plenty of self-finance courses. We added one more wing in this college. We had self-finance polytechnic. We had self-finance commerce college. We had plenty of other. Even we had a law college, and of course, pharmacy was also there prior to that happening. So these are the developments which Mrs. Hazari took over. And after her death, there was a vacuum. But now, Dr. Sujata, Tata's granddaughter, Tata's granddaughter is the current president of this campus. And we expect that under her leadership also, we will continue to grow. Quality education has been a hallmark of this campus. Let it be any of our institutes, we say proudly, any of our institutes, let it be part of earlier Technical Education Board or now part of the Gujarat Technological University, earlier Gujarat University and now Kutch University. You name, and our students have been coming in the merit list of all these universities and boards right since inception. Right since inception, we have been talking about. And of course, this campus is there, but in addition to that, we say that in today's time, everybody is busy, watching, using a lot of screens. So, while watching those screens, if your eyes get affected, we have got a full-fledged Tolani Eye Hospital also, very well equipped. So you can get yourself cured. And if you are mentally stressed, we have got Ramakrishna Seva Kendra. Come and be a part of it, meditate and grow. Thank you very much.
It always seems impossible until started. We feel extremely proud from where we have started to where we have reached. Indeed, sky is the limit. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us about Tolani Vidya Mandir. Setting a good example is far better way to spread ideals than through forces of arms. With this thought, I would like to request Dr. Tejas Pujara, Professor TMIMS, to kindly introduce our chief guest, Dr. Naveen Sheikh, Honorable Vice Chancellor, GTU.
Thank you. It's my privilege to introduce today's chief guest and our patron of this conference, Professor Dr. Naveen Sheikh sir. He is the Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Technological University since 2016. He is a renowned educationalist and administrator. Professor Sheikh started his academic career in 1979, and during the course of time, he emerged as a tireless academician and herbal scientist. Sheikh sir obtained his B.Pharm and M.Pharm from LM College of Pharmacy. Then he went on to win his PhD degree from the Saurashtra University. He is a distinguished academician and efficient administrator. He has also served as the member and chairman of various committees of UGC, AICT, DST, GUJCOS, and several universities in India. He has been the advisor and later on member of the GSPC. Sheikh sir has attended many national and international conferences in India and abroad. His research interests includes traditional drugs, herbal drugs, and standardization. His exuberant involvement in R&D has been recognized by his 100+ publications, including 65 technical papers in journals of repute. He has also presented many papers in national and international conferences. Till date, 28 research scholars have successfully completed their PhD degree under his guidance. Sheikh sir has also been awarded many awards. Few of them are Lifetime Achievement Award by KL University, Karnataka, Lifetime Achievement Award at World Educational Convention 2017 at New Delhi, Swami Vivekananda Excellence Award by Indian Institute of Oriental Heritage on 9th March 2019. Apart from these, he has also received Academic Excellence Award by the Textile Association of India, Ahmedabad. Also, he has been awarded the Vice Chancellor of the Year 2020 by Integrated Chamber of Commerce and Industry, New Delhi, uh, and also received IASTM Award by Dr. K. Parikh, contribution to development of Ayurvedic and herbal pharmaceuticals for the year 2020. He has visited many countries as a part of his research journey. It's our privilege to have Sri Dr. Setsa with us in today's inauguration. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Tejas, for a very elaborate introduction. Namaskar, very good morning. Respected all dignitaries of the dais, my fellow colleagues, Vice Chancellor of the Shyamji Krishna Verma, Kutch University, Professor Jaidas Jadeja sir, Professor Daharani, Manish Pandya, Principal Sampata, Abshe, the today's speakers, Ibrani, Professor Kalra, all faculties and participants. Very much I'm very much pleased to be here. In my first year of my joining the Vice Chancellor, I am here in this campus, and after 5 years I am here. And I congratulate particularly the organizing committee for this international conference and the theme for the international conference. And I have promised him to come here very long back. Unfortunately, one more program there at today means I have to leave Ahmedabad today and to go to the Karnataka in the today evening. So, but even though I have promised, and that's why I came here. So, this conference particularly on the sustainable goals, sustainable development, that is very, very important issues. Dr. Sampata Kapse has already said that it is accepted in 2016 for January. 17 such sustainable development goals were identified and to be achieved in 2030 by the UN. Now, the whole world is facing so many problems. Either it is climatic problems, environmental problems, poverty, inequality. So all has to work together to solve this problem, to address these problems. But our mindset is sometimes that the government will do, the state government will do, there will be an order, there will be circular. But all such issues, they cannot be solved by order of the government or by the circular of the government, or government can do, corporation can do. Everyone has to. Even in our constitution, you see that the untouchability. So it is not accepted and it is an offense. There is a lot of rules, regulations for that. But it is still prevails untouchability in rural area and some in India. Because the mindset is not changed. The people's mindset for untouchability. That is still prevails. And that's why that problem is not solved today. Same thing with all such problems of climate problems, of poverty, or other problems the whole world is facing. So very first our mindset to be changed. That it is the duty of all citizens. So in all such issues, the educational institutes plays an important role because the young generation, they learn the lessons here at the educational institutes. So the role of educational institutes is very important to achieve this goal, to solve these problems. So the national education policy. That is the a policy which is first time uh, address so many issues in India, particularly not only issues of the educational institutes, whole world issues, because we have to prepare a global citizen. And our culture is also said that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam means we believe in the whole world is our family. Well, uh, all literatures you say, Sarvajana Sukhaye, Sarvajana Hitaye, means do whichever for the welfare of the people, for the welfare of the community. That is our culture. In so many literatures you will find that प्रकृति का दोहन करो, प्रकृति का शोषण मत करो. But what happened? Suppose in Himalayan region there was a plant and it takes about 150 years to grow, particularly that we say in vernacular language, that very lightweight. Just forget the name of that plant, but that whole plant was because to prepare the box and other thing for the packaging materials that is used. And now there is a melt of the glaciers and other things. So many problems, climatic problems everywhere. You see that in South Africa, Johannesburg is declared a city without drinking water. A drop of drinking water is not available in Johannesburg. The first city globally declared that city without any drinking water. A drop of drinking water is not available. Now, Africa, very dense forest and everything is there. But due to this uh, exploitation of the plants and other things, प्रकृति का शोषण किया. इसलिए so our future generation, we have to give them a platform. Means educational institutes has to give the platform to showcase their idea, particularly if they will get the exposure. Means if they don't know the problems of the society, problems of the country, the problems globally the world is facing, the challenges, if he don't have any idea, then he will not get the solution. So to provide the platform to our students that they get the idea the world is facing, and their creativity will definitely working on that side to solve the problems, and uh, we will get the problems. So it will be properly addressed. So leadership of the educational institute is very important. Here from Professor Tolani, we heard about that how this institute is there, such a remote area after partition, and in this just a border district, this of India, this educational institute by the activity of the trust and the leadership of Dr. Tolani. So the educational institute's role is very important. We have to sensitize our students for the different problems faced by the society, and uh, definitely in due course of time we'll get the solution. NEP 2020 addressed so many things, so many reforms were addressed, and reforms are there suggested by in NEP 2020. Suppose multiple entry, multiple exit, it is a quite new thing, but it is there, and definitely central government is trying, state government is trying to implement all such things. de-affiliation within 15 years, means in this SARC country particularly, we have an affiliation type of system. Means suppose my university, GTU, Gujarat Technological University, we have more than 450 affiliated colleges across the Gujarat. Engineering, pharmacy, management, architect, all such colleges are affiliated. So to maintain the quality, uniform quality, it is very difficult in such system. Even though no doubt we are trying, but to maintain the quality of the education, uh, it is very difficult in the affiliated type of system. So in this National Education Policy 2020, de-affiliation gradually, phase-wise, within 15 years, that is one of the important reforms suggested. Then the to convert into a multidisciplinary means here at present in our education system there is airtight compartment, arts, commerce, science, like that, and students cannot. Suppose a pharmacy students have an interest in law, but he cannot have any platform today to obtain any subjects from the law, or a students from engineering he is interested in the culture or literature. There is no scope at present. But there will be a number of students. Yesterday there is one program at LD College of Engineering, and I have awarded this that team from the LD College of Engineering. They been the INT means a Gujarat Samachar they are arranging the this competition. So that team from the engineering they received the first medal. So Ekanki Spardha. In that Spardha, most of the arts, commerce, science students generally they are winning. Last time it was uh, made by the engineering students. Means students have the idea, so they should have to be provide a platform. So in previous system we don't have any such system. Now slowly this multiple entry, multiple exit, this flexibility will be there in our education system. And definitely, if this education policy is implemented in letter and spirit, India will definitely a knowledge hub. India will definitely a knowledge superpower like that in the era of the Nalanda and Takshashila, where from all corner of the world, students, scholars, they are coming to India for their further study, for the research. Now, research and innovation, that is also very, very important, and so many reforms suggested in the NEP 2020. There may be a National Research Foundation, and it is huge amount of money, more than 20,000 crore rupees there. In present system, there may be a different funding agency, and they approve the research proposal, and they are giving 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakhs, like that, or maximum 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs. But for a global level research, sometimes a huge amount is required. So this National Research Foundation, they have to produce, and that is single body, not the different AICT, UGC, or the DSC like that. If from a single body, everyone will get this one, and if the proposal is address such type of the problems, novel problems, definitely will that be useful. So the foreign institutes can come here. Indian institutes can have their campus outside the India. So many reforms are there in the NEP 2020. So definitely, if it is fully implemented, then India will be hub, knowledge hub. And research and innovation is also focused, and in so many institutes, some incubation center were established. Central government is also trying to establish the Atal Tinkering Lab in the schools, then the Atal Incubation Center at the different university, and different policies. There is a design incubation center, technology business incubators. So much schemes are there for providing the platform to the young generation to showcase their idea, and idea will be slowly nurtured at this incubation center. They are mentored by the teachers or the experts, and slowly that idea is converted into a prototype and finally a new product or a new process or a new application. And we are getting the results. Suppose, as far as the patent filing is concerned, previously India is lag behind. Even today we are lag behind. Suppose China last year, China filed about more than 7 lakhs patent. US filed about 6.5 lakhs patent. And we have filed about 55,000 patents. Means we are lagging. But, and even in this 55,000 patents, the patent filed by the educational institutes, very less. 15%. Remaining 85% by the multiple means this multinational companies and corporate house or some international companies. They are filing patents. So they are 85%, hardly 15% from the educational institutes. And out of that 15%, most of by the IITs and IIM, conventional university, the conventional institution, number of patent filing, 3-4%. But slowly the awareness is there. And recently our data is published from January to March, about 54% patent in this lag of January, February, March. 54% from the domestic filing. That means not by the corporate or the multinational companies. So it is first time they cross that barrier. And the domestic patent filing is increasing slowly. 19,000 were filed in this 3 months in India. And out of that 19,000 patents, 54% patent for the domestic companies and the domestic institutes. So this is just a result that now every college, suppose LM college have Airtel Incubation Center, even my university have Airtel Incubation Center, Design Incubation Center, the technology business incubators, and also government have the SSIP scheme. So slowly this culture is developed of innovation, and in the innovation index, slowly India is coming up and up every year. So definitely this young generation, if they will get the platform, they will definitely address the problems of the society, problems of the country, and it will be ultimately problems faced by the whole world. So this is very important topics and theme decided by the organizer. So I congratulate the organizer for this scheme, and a lot of experts from the different areas will be there. So researchers and scholars and the young students, those who are participating, definitely they will motivated, they will get the idea, they will guidance and everything. So it's a very good platform for the young scholars and researchers and participants for this important thing. Thank you very much for providing me, to giving me the platform to hear and address you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, the greatest threat to our planet is belief that someone else will save it. If we wish our future generations to have least what we have, now is the time. I would like to request Mr. Hitendra Lachwani, Assistant Professor PMIMS, to kindly introduce our guest of honor, Dr. A.H. Carlo, Trustee GCD.
Good
Good morning to one and all. It's always a matter of pride and privilege, although we all know our own Kalro sir, but it's always a matter of pride and privilege when we get an opportunity to glance his professional journey, which is an inspiration to many of us. Dr. Kalro is an educationist with over 50 years of experience in academic institutions in India and abroad. He has contributed extensively to educational policies and establishment of educational institutions. Dr. Kalro has obtained his BTech in electrical engineering from IIT Kharagpur, and he has his MS and PhD in industrial engineering from University of Minnesota, United States. He is presently Professor Emeritus, Ahmedabad University, Trustee, Garidham Collegiate Board, Academic Advisor, Ahmedabad Education Society, Member Governing Board, Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, Ahmedabad, Member Governing Council, Institute of Management Technology, Ghaziabad, Nagpur and Hyderabad, Chairman Board of Management, IMT Ghaziabad, Chairman Board of Management, IMT Nagpur, Member Governing Board, Institute of Management Studies and Research, Mumbai, Chairman South Asian Quality System Committee, Association of Management Development Institution in South Asia. He's Chairman Management Evaluation Accreditation Committee, National Board of Accreditation. He was the first provost of Ahmedabad University. He was a member of Second Administrative Reforms Commission, Government of India. He was Director IIM Kozhikode from November 1998 to February 2004. Chairman Ravi J. Majithia Center for Education Innovation at Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He has served on Board of Directors, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, Bharat Oman Refineries Limited, Torrent Forward SEC Limited, and Chairman of their respective audit committees as well. He was also a member, South Western Regional Committee, All India Council of Technical Education. Professor Kalro has received various awards in his career, one of which being the Lifetime Achievement Award from Indian Society of Operation Management in December 2006, and awards from Ahmedabad Management Association and School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi, for his contribution to the management. I would request everyone to help me welcome Dr. Kalro with a round of applause for his
Well, first of all, good morning to everybody present here. Please on and off the dais. Colleagues at Tolani Vidya Mandir, distinguished participants from other institutions, and of course, fellow students from DC. First of all, thank you for that very elaborate introduction. I got the feeling you wanted to write everything that I've been through. But it's not necessary. But thank you again for what you said. And I only hope that when it is time for me to meet with my Creator, at least people will say that it was a life well lived. And some contribution was made to the larger society for which I'm getting old, I'm almost 80 years old. So obviously, we have to think of it. At the outset, I want to thank Sampada for asking me to speak today. And also for saying that I am the patron of this conference. Okay, I initiated. So that, let me say that probably it took a lot of courage on the part of both of us to venture into this it creates opportunity for presentation of thoughts and views, and of course, looking at the concerns that we need to address as we move towards the attainment of these sustainability goals. So cleverly and ardently announced by him. Actually, I was trying to recall just a few days ago what exactly are 17 sustainability goals. Well, know the summary. I did the precise wording of these 17 sustainability goals. And when I read all of this, the search engine, the internet, and all that is available there, came into my mind was, oh my God, how are we going to keep these issues? And I was reminded of my students' days in the US when I was pursuing my master's degree in industrial engineering with a minor in mathematics at the University of Minnesota, which was at that time one of the top 10 universities in the US. At that time, not anymore. And at that time, I came in touch with mathematics, which are called NP hard. Some of you would have heard that nomenclature. NP hard problems are those which do not have any algorithms available to converge to solutions in real time. Real time. And some of the seemingly common problems are NP hard, including scheduling jobs, N jobs on M machines with either deterministic or non-deterministic times, but which require a particular process flow. And to this day, people play around with Gantt charts, they play around with the heuristics, they play around with thumb rules and all that to take care of this problem. Well, we do not have an algorithm which gives us an optimal solution even for single objective in this one. This is an NP hard problem. And when we say we do not get a solution in polynomial time, it means the search is on and on and on and on and on, and we have no guarantee that you will converge to a solution. Okay. Now, there are other well-known problems where we have algorithms which give us solutions in polynomial time, like solving a linear program. We have algorithms which give us solutions in polynomial time. But there are so many that we do not know how to solve in terms of optimization theory in polynomial time. And that holds almost true till today. Because even the fastest computers with the maximum memory can only do this by trial and error. Generate a huge number of alternatives and then not be able to do it in finite time. The program will stop. But you can get close to a so-called solution. But see how clever mathematicians are. They may not know the exact solution, but they can tell you how close you are to an optimal possible solution as you keep on generating. The possibility exists in many cases. I'm describing all this to you because as I read this list of 17 goals of sustainability that we want in this world, and that too, by the way, to be achieved in a time frame of 15, I repeat, 15 years. Not only brings it closer and closer to NP heart problems, but also takes us into what I would like to call as the realm of creativity. And the realm of creativity to at least start thinking of possibilities of movement. And by the way, just as a small reminder, 7 years of those 15 years are over. 50% of the period is over. And believe me, nowhere in the world are we anywhere close to achieve even 25% of these sustainability goals. Nowhere in the world. And the problems are only increasing every time you want to update yourself on the situation worldwide. Of course, after a little time I'll abandon worldwide, I try to concentrate on India. But that's the situation. And look at the enormous amount of damage, distress, pain, loss of life, damage to environment and so on, that this war between Russia and Ukraine has done. And for what? And for what? Seemingly protection that Russia seeks for itself against possible invasions by NATO. And publicly, Putin has said his interest is not in occupying Ukraine. His interest is in just destroying Ukraine and making it totally inhabitable. And is there anybody in this world who's taking up this issue with an iota of response to bring understanding to the issue on hand and taking care of the unbelievable consequences that will result as this war continues? If anybody in the audience can name anyone who is doing it, I feel educated. Nobody. And we have a man who says, be prepared for a nuclear war in the Third World War. We're taking it there. And by the way, I'm not a predictor, okay, of future events. I don't understand that much. But all that I know, the moment the first nuclear weapon is fired on Ukraine by Russia, not only will all of Russia be destroyed, but a substantial part of Europe will be destroyed. And large cities in the United States will also be destroyed. And it will also affect parts of India, China, the countries in the Asian region. What happened to sustainability? See, I'm pointing out some of these things today to you, not because I want to disillusion you, but because I want that we should start thinking afresh and differently on this issue. But first, I want to quickly read the 17 sustainability goals. They're very eloquently and well summarized in 3 or 4 heads by all my previous speakers. So, the 17 sustainability goals. They begin with end poverty in all its forms, everywhere. 2, end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Third, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being of all at all ages. 4, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. 5, achieve greater equality and empower all women and girls. I don't know why they left out boys, but maybe they're the perpetrators of crime. 6, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. 7, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. This modern is also a very loaded word. But if the intent is to talk of only renewable sources, let's say, talk about renewable sources and forget everything else. But nuclear power is also a modern source of energy if used properly and with care. 8, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth for all for full and productive employment. And again, an undefined word, decent work for all. Decent. You can help me understand what decent means. 9, build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. 10, reduce inequality within and among countries. Okay, so now we are also responsible in India to reduce inequality between India and Canada, Australia, United States of America, Japan, and so on. Reduce inequality within and among countries like this. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. 12. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. 13. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Very important. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. 15. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. 16. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, inclusive institutions at all levels. 17. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize global partnership for sustainable development. Now, is there anyone who can say no to any of these? Answer is no. They are all. Every single one of them is really required, and much more than what's contained here, if we want to protect our planet, save it, to exist for the first thing. Absolutely. But the question is, what do we prioritize? What amount of time are we going to take for doing all of this? Do we accept diversity in a group? In different countries and different world has its own problem and so on. So I thought that I admire the UN. I also know that it has done very little or nothing to set its own house in order, whether it is the Security Council or it is the UN General Assembly. And it's also excelled in some places, like UNICEF, WHO, and so on. There is a mixed bag. So rather than think in those terms, let me come back to my country. And let me talk about what are the requirements of sustainability of my country and what are the issues that I have to address. I hope every one of us here is proud Indian, that you are part of a country whose traditions, whose heritage, whose knowledge, and whose impacts are once again being realized by other countries in the world. Somewhere in between, they were forgotten, but we are once again thinking about them. So I took the liberty of listing, instead of 17 sustainable goals, 17 current major issues in India. Of course, I could have added more, by the way, but sometimes we academics have this habit of putting numbers. They had 79 also. I could have put more. I could have put less. But I just wanted to match 17 with 17. And not all of these 17 are different from some of the 17 that they have cited in their own way. But some are not mentioned. And by the way, the order in which I am mentioning these 17 is no prioritized order or in order of importance. I wrote them down as they came to my mind. But to some extent also tells you about where my own thinking process is put in importance. So I began with number one, corruption. I began with corruption. Now, all I know that I'm not just talking of corruption in the context of using money power and exchange of money to get things done. Corruption goes beyond that in terms of our actions, which actually promote and strengthen individual biases of communal biases. That's all. Corruption. Second, I put down is illiteracy. Now, once again, illiteracy means what to us? It does not mean that a very substantial percentage of the population must have gone to university. It does not mean that we have to go on increasing GER, gross enrollment ratio. And GER is climbing in India. We are in the 20s. We will get to the 50s, 60s at some point in time. But very simple things we include in our definition of illiteracy. So I'm not going to repeat it, you all know about it. It is defined by the government what they mean by illiteracy. Okay, and the situation is not encouraging. And by the way, we have urban literacy, not just rural literacy. We have urban villages, and we have villages from even the upper strata of society. It's not confined to the lower strata of society. Third, education system. The less I say for the timing about that, the better. But when I am talking about education system, it is beginning from the entry point into school. And it continues to be lifelong. So what do we want to learn is the important thing. But there are few learnings which are very important, which I would like to repeat. We must learn to learn. We must learn to think. We must learn to act. And we must learn how to adapt and change. Today I will add one more learning, which was not in the original list. Learn to respect diversity. So just because I am what I am, I'm not better. There's something better somewhere else. Learn to respect diversity. We have problems of basic sanitation. And now only last few years, thanks to our Prime Minister, we have gone on this huge drive to construct toilets in the country. And that too, by the way, if you do an assessment, you realize that it's not enough. But I also know there are some people who are arguing, what is the point of constructing all these toilets if there's no water there? Or there is no toilet paper, or there is no means of maintaining hygiene. Maybe the old system was better. Ultimately, what was left behind became fertilizer. Of course, this is being said facetious. All right? But you just, healthcare system. You know, there is still a very large percentage of our population which operates on the belief that when they develop an ailment and fall sick, then it is time to go to God. Nothing can be done. We've got to try and address these issues, and we are. We are in the country. We have very, very strong programs of telemedicine. Very strong. We have to go further. Poverty, which was the starting point for many. Here also there is good news for us in India. Extreme poverty in India during the last 7 years, 8 years, of course, it matches the period of the present regime, has been reduced to about 10.8% compared to more than double that figure earlier. Extreme poverty. I know other than bodies in the UN have praised the country for what it could do during this pandemic in terms of addressing this issue. Pollution. Now you can't go to Delhi and breathe. Similar the situation is in Bombay. Pretty soon Ahmedabad will be in that same boat. And I don't know how many cities will fall in that trap. We're all lucky here. The kind of Kutch, large parts of Saurashtra. Yes. Except these large cities that are named Ahmedabad. And you know who's failing that. Gender discrimination is a huge problem in India. By the way, this is also included in those 17 sustainability goals. We still need to have slogans. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. The creator of the world is a Beti. Still, we have these notions. We have two girls. Love them, we are fond of them. And still people tell me, Ladka nahi hai? Still, to this day, I'm educated, so what? And so are they. This goes from all strata of society. Infrastructure deficiencies, I won't talk too much about that. Agriculture distress. Again mentioned in those 17 sustainability goals. But look at the number of suicides being committed by our. Look at the organized resistance to reform, driven by political parties and external forces. Okay? And so on and so on. Problem agricultural distress is terrorism, both domestic and cross-border. We are really suffering because of this. Climate change and frequent disasters. Without too much thinking, I can tell you, you can expect huge disasters again in July. Somewhere. This is happening all the time now because of climate change issues. Gujarat has now unfortunately become the epicenter of huge heat waves. This summer. Already we have crossed 45 degrees in the month of April. Next, religious intolerance and fundamentalism. The less I say, the better. And today yesterday I opened the Economic Times or somewhere I saw, or maybe on the news channel news. What they talking about? Hindi into Hindustan. This is what we should do. Justice delivery has become a problem. We pride ourselves on our judicial system. It has become a problem. And problem because of attack from all sides on the judiciary. And the judiciary itself contributed. I don't know when it is going. Next is increasing protectionism. Be Indian, buy Indian. But if that is our attitude, why will somebody else buy Indian? Except maybe our talent which we can export. And last I want to mention, there are more, but I'm limiting myself to 17. The present attack that is happening in our country by politicians on our federal structure is becoming painful. It's becoming very painful. We know that our constitution provides some things on the concurrent list. So the states as well as the center have the power to legislate. But it's all being given the go by just to serve limited ends. Do I have solutions? Answer is no. Do I have thoughts? Some yes. I don't want to talk about that today. But let me not give you the feeling that India is not a country to be reckoned with. I also want to recount to you today some of our spectacular achievements. Spectacular achievements in the country in the last few decades. I begin by what we have achieved in science and technology. only country in the world which could launch on one vehicle 104 satellites and put them successfully. Only, I repeat, only country in the world. One of the developing countries became the fifth country to send a mission to Mars, but the only country to succeed in its first attempt. A country which went ahead and developed cryo engines. And the list is very long. This is very long. Our industrial capability has expanded. Okay? So let me just read out a few things to you. Introduction. And by the way, we are in an enviable position already in India in terms of clean energy production. We talked of infrastructure being a problem, but at the same time, India ranks number 2 in road networks and in the rail network. And you know who's ahead of us? China. All this we have achieved despite what the British did not do here. They developed the rail network. But road, no. It's all being done. We rank number 4 in the size of our armed forces and our fighting strength. And I was shocked when I read 3 days ago. We are the world's 3rd largest buyer of arms and ammunition. And what is that being done for? For your protection and my protection. And for maintaining the territorial integrity of this nation. And we have pride, we are proud to be having one of the most disciplined armed forces in the world. All right. We still rank number 1 in terms of our postal network. Number 1. Although that money order, system has gone. But we still are number 1 in the world in terms of our postal network. And the last one I want to mention today, there are more, I don't want to take up your time. We rank number 2 in the world in mobile telephone production and connections. We are in China. Number 2. So that is why, if you look at penetration in our country, even the person, your domestic staff who's coming to work with you, and if there are 3 members in the family, all 3 have mobile. This all continues. So what are we going to do to address our problems and also to make a dent on these sustainability goals that have been given? We have to do something. We can't just say it's wishful thinking. And today I want to mention only 3 areas in which I believe we need to put in a lot of it. And this is my personal belief. No guarantee of it. But what is my personal belief? We must invest and restructure, reform our education system right from the school level. Right from the school. And the Honorable Vice Chancellor GTU spoke a lot about NEP. So I'm not going to repeat any of that. But I want to add, we must start with the school education. And go up all the levels to higher education. When NEP 2020 came, there was no mention of school education. It was entirely concentrating on higher education. And there also, it had been totally silent on diploma programs, 2-year programs, and 3-year diploma programs. Corrections have been made in terms of addressing the issue of school education. Some work is being done. But it's not yet commensurate with the kind of work that was done in bringing out the NEP 2020. But we will get there. The kind of things that are being said in higher education must have a trickle-down effect also into school. And we need to, of course, obviously, pay a lot of attention to bringing in the children into schools and retaining them. On the one hand, and second, in terms of what they know. Now, we need to concentrate on that. The second thing I believe very strongly about, which is something I take from our heritage, our culture, is that we have to bring into our education system, once again, at all levels, an emphasis on universal values. When I talk of universal values, I'm not referring to religion, please. I'm not referring to issues of morality. I'm not referring to the 10 commandments and so on. Universal values are human values. And we can generate a strong debate on what we want to talk about in terms of human and universal values. But we certainly want to talk about religious tolerance. We want to talk about quite a bit, I would say, respect for diversity. We must talk about how we respond to our environment and how do we protect it. And last but not least, what support do we provide to the underprivileged? And we have not. Because I strongly believe it is the duty of every citizen to contribute something to those less fortunate than her. And the last thing I want to talk about, mention, I'm not going to talk about it because I'm leaving that task for our distinguished guest, Dr. Inauguration, to talk about technological innovation and how that can help us fight these issues that we are talking about. Last few minutes only. But who's going to do all this? Who is going to do all this? And I have a list of 17. Like that week. Another time I know. This list is individuals, their role, you and me. Parents, family, teachers, schools, educational institutions, civil society, political leadership, government, lawmakers, that is, MPs, MLAs, and all these people. Judiciary, the manner in which they interpret the laws, our thought leaders, philosophers, and so on. Our spiritual leaders also. By the way, they have a lot of good things to tell us. Industry, which can give means and support. NGOs, which are already doing some good work and they can do more. Professional bodies, maybe even the Institute of Chartered Accountants, your Kutch Management Institute, organizations like that. I started running out of numbers, but I thought one I should add as important, the social reformers. Social reformers, they come once in a few decades. But we have to wait till we find. See, look at the kind of social reforms. I hope you all are aware, you read some of these things that were brought into our country by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. We're all proud of what he did in terms of social reform. Even some great literatures from Bengal, what they did for social reform. One I will quote to you because it has come from stories that have come, novels that have come, literature that has come. Even good people like Munshi Premchand have written. on widow remarriage. Just as an example. So this entire list is all very long. And I'm only hoping that during these 2 days that you talk, we will have an active dialogue and debate on what we can do, what we should do, and how much time are we giving ourselves to do it. Well, there's no point in just writing a paper and saying, I did my job, the international conference is over. So I scored my brownie points for that. And this effort, if we can give a beginning to in Tolani Vidya Mandir, I would be very, very happy because it would push the tradition that Kaka brought me here and which was continued substantially by Anjana Didi. You all know she received the Kutch Ratna Award. Okay? We have to continue that legacy. And I just want to mention for the benefit of my distinguished panelists that we have now established a center for community development in Berlin. You know, as always, everybody says, where's the money going to come from? We don't have money in this country. Compared to my other trusts that I work with, the Ahmedabad Education Society, there we have 900 crores. Here, we don't have money. So everybody says, where will the money come from? But when you want to do something good, the money flows in. And I want to congratulate my colleagues in GC because they have generated the money through contributions from CSR funds, from individuals, from alumni, from industry, and you're asking only for a pittance. It's all there. And I hope Venkat and Daryani will not come to the governing body and say, you give us so many more lakhs of rupees. Because they're generating the money themselves. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. So I wish you all the best, Godspeed, happy learning. And if you learn something very significant, please share with all of us. And God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Naveen sir, for being the part of your for this conference in your busy schedule. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Carlos, sir, for reminding us it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Next, I would like to request Mrs. Archana Jain, Professor at TCC, to kindly introduce our guest of honor and speaker, Dr. Jairaj Singh Jadeja, Honorable Vice Chancellor, KSKV, Kutch University. We'll be taking 10 minutes of break and we'll continue after that.
Yeah, yeah.